that taught me to be very respectful, and had taught me my work ethics. And so I give all that to him. So before I came to work here, I was at a church that did a lot of mission work, and I went on a lot of dental and medical mission trips to Nicaragua, Guatemala, and Mexico. And so after we changed churches, we've been at Evangel in Louisville for about 15 years. And then this job became available. Of course, I did not start here being the director. And as I was taught, I took the job that I had, and I did my best at it, and I excelled. And I think I've been the director. I don't know, all the days are kind of running together, but I think I've been the director for about 13 years. And before that, I was the assistant director. So enough about me. But SpringHaven is a domestic violence program for all of the Lincoln Trail Ag District. We have offices in all the outlying counties, and we are also the shelter for Fort Knox. And they have
that's
victim
huge.
advocates, but we do shelter any military victims that need shelter. I can say that since end of February, 1st of March, this has been the most overwhelming task that I've had to take on. I'm sorry. Being not only responsible for the people, the residents who stay here, I don't like to call them victims, who stay here, for their safety, but for their health, and then the health of the staff. From the get-go, it was a lot of new preventative measures, a lot of new procedures to put in place, and it was quick and it was fast, and it was like, there's no meat in the grocery stores, and that was quite a challenge. I did have to call on the mayor about the second week, because I never realized that people, everyday people shopping for themselves, were really going into self-preservation mode. So that was a challenge. He helped me a lot. He put me in touch with this lady at Hardin Memorial Hospital that could help us with the type of covers we needed for our thermometer. I know that sounds like a small thing, but when you have to take everybody's temperature in and out, in and out, in and out, staff, it's a large thing when you can't even find any. And I wrote a letter to the editor really thanking her and the mayor and Shoney's, who helped us with food, produce we couldn't get. So that was kind of the first hurdle. And so we kind of, had to change the way we did things around here, trying to get masks, trying to get the things that everybody needed. I kind of felt like the house on the hill sometimes that people didn't think about till that letter to the editor came out in the paper. And then, as usual, our community rallied around us, as they always do. And if they could pick up a can of Lysol, if they could find, a package of meat at Sam's or anything like that, we couldn't really allow people into the building, but they were really okay with one of our staff persons coming out there with a mask on and accepting the donation and getting their information so we could really properly thank them. That's a big thing with me. I don't want anybody dropping off anything that they don't get a thank you for. And so now that things are, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hear your wife.
Josh Grogan just wrote a new song.
Harold,
What?
I have
I'm
no,
sorry.
I have no idea what that is.
Okay. So we have been running since March. Staff never complained. People made us masks when I couldn't get them through where I was supposed to get them from. We followed our coalition guidelines. We followed the governor's guidelines. And so nobody in or out except for doctor's appointments, which we took them to make sure, you know, most of them don't have transportation anyway. So we were, you know, we don't want to be controlling because they've come from controlling situations. So that also, you know, kind of limited the volunteers that had been coming in and doing groups. There's a wonderful lady that has done a yoga group virtually through Zoom, and that's been awesome. And so now that things are lightening up, there's a whole new set of guidelines that we have to follow through with, you know, when people are out and about. I think for me, it's a whole new set of concerns because they can go different places. And again, we're here to help them. We're not here to control them. We're here to help them get on to their next stage in life. So we have been able, we've had a couple of emergency situations. Feeding America has been wonderful to us when, you know, everybody heard about the meat shortage. Right when Jamie Sizemore at Feeding America loaded us up with meat, what did the enemy do? Our commercial freezer went out. And so I was up here on a Saturday trying to put as much of the meat in every staff member's freezer to save it. And finally found a company in Louisville, the Dine Company restaurant store, that would actually deliver into the building. So it's just been, I just think, a trial. You know, we have to go through trials. And it's been a lot of learning experience, excuse me, for me, for my staff. And another thing you might want to consider is that people that suffer with depression, that have had to stay in, no matter what we do, no matter what kind of group we have with them, you know, to try to lighten their spirits or do anything, you know, the depression gets worse. And so we have had a therapist. We do have a therapist that's on staff that's been able to try to work on that end. So, you know, who knows what is to come. So, you know, we do, all of our courts finally got on board with the Supreme Court decision that they had to provide EPO hearings, emergency protective order hearings, through some type of telecommunication, whether it be Skype, conference calling, or Zoom. Some of the more rural counties kind of held out to the last minute, but we have all but, I think, one county that still requires in person, and I'm not requiring that victim advocate to go to that county. So we are still providing all the services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week that we have always provided for. It's been a little bit, you know, harder and tighter and a little less sleep, but Oh, I promised Jackie that I would say one thing and then I'll open it up for questions because I don't want to sit here and talk all the whole time. SpringHaven was started back in 1984 by a lady that I'm sure all of you know, Dot Hanson. And she was still a blessing to us. She would still come up here as long as she was alive. And she was in one of our videos. I cannot remember what year it was, but it was up until about, I think, 4 years until she went to be with the Lord. And she started SpringHaven along with Helping Hand. And we still have that collaboration agreement with Helping Hand. I love the new director, Hope. What better name to have for Helping Hand of Hope but Hope? We have met and talked and, see how we could collaborate. And, you mentioned the medical clinic. Rebecca and I, we've been help to one another. If someone comes in there and shows signs of domestic violence, she immediately gives me a call, and we get the releases that we need to get, and we work together perfectly. So I've always thought the nonprofits in the community are not competitive. They should not be. They should be collaborative. And so, we do what we do, and it's just been harder to do it since March. So, Jackie, was there anything else you wanted me to mention before?
Well,
I can
thank you for all of those wonderful comments and helping us understand. And one of the things that has been delightful to hear, because as I told you, Tanya, we have had a series. You're the latest in the series of people talking with us, is the collaboration and that is evident among the groups. And that's marvelous, because then people don't fall through the cracks. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
If this is my client, it's not your client, and all of that business, so
right.
That's great to hear. I was not aware, and I was on that beginning board with Dot Hanson. I remember Rick Davis was on there, Fran Arnold. I don't remember who all was on that, but I was not aware that you covered the whole Lincoln Trail area and had offices. I did see when I went to the website to copy that yesterday that it talked about shelters. Now, you're the only shelter, right? But you get referrals from all of the different counties.
Yes, we're the only shelter, but we are the shelter for the 8 counties.
And that is a large area. Yes,
it is.
So what I was wondering about were your numbers, because I have no idea, how many people you told us, or you told me when we first started talking, that you'd added on 2 or 3 times.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. The last edition that we added on, we got a community block grant through the Lincoln Trail Ad District for $500,000. We got a lot of, that was for construction only. And we had to write other grants to get the furniture. Just to mention one, the SWOPE matching grant helped pay for all the laundry facilities, and Ronald McDonald grants that you have to write, just different grants to, fill the rest of the needs. But we were able to add a family side, and that way it was like a Jack and Jill. One family could stay on one side. There's a vanity and shower and restroom area in between there, and it can be locked, and then kind of like back in the day, shows how old I am now, but when you get a hotel room and you could have, your mom and dad stay in one room, and you'd have that room that sometimes they let the kids stay in between, you know, and in between, and on the other side, another family can completely stay, you know, be with their family. We were able to add on, you know, a dining area, and before that we added on 2002, we added on, we started out with 5 bedrooms. So now we have 9 bedrooms. We have a dining room. We have so much that we didn't have. What used to be conducive to chaos is now conducive to family style dining, family style being in their own room, more of a temporary home. If I could take the word shelter out of the equation, I certainly would, because it's not a shelter. It's a temporary home where they're passing through, and they take care of it. During this time, you know, we've talked, you know, I've had many talks with them about what we need to do to stay healthy. The disinfecting once in the morning, once in the afternoon, all the dining room tables, all the high chairs, all the, you know, there's just too much. I don't want to bore people with what we do every day, but, and, you know, we have not had one person sick, not one person staff person sick. I got tested when they came to E-Town just because I wanted to. And of course, you know, I'm not sick, I didn't have it, but I just, it's just, and, you know, it depends on where you read, you know, like the Courier Journal will say, oh, domestic violence calls are down. You listen to 48 Hours and they have this special on domestic violence is up. And I tell you, it depends on where you are, what state you're in, and what part of the state you're in. We had a murder in Marion County in March. Last week in the paper, I know you all saw it on the front page if you read the paper. I mean, the man who, you know, almost killed the lady by hitting her in the head with a gun. I mean, I can't because of confidentiality, but you have to know that in some form or fashion in Hardin County, we know that person. Or in Marion County, which is such a small county, we know that person. Our advocate has worked with that person, and it really does affect us. So
how many people, what are your numbers? Have they been steady out there? Are you full? Has there been an increase in terms of?
Okay, when it first started, and the guidelines came down, we had like 4 people like, I'm not doing that, and they left. All of a sudden it was just like, so you know, that tells me one thing: they were not here for the right reasons, and that's okay. And so our numbers right now are 14, and that's half of our capacity. But the other people have been rock steady. I'll do what I need to do. I'm going to stay here. They had their rough days, you know, and then there was a while where the crisis calls kind of slowed down. I will agree with that's being put out, but now in the last 2 weeks, the crisis calls have increased. People have started coming into the shelter. And if you look it up, more people are being hurt in their homes. And I'm not an expert, but just going from, you know, what I've seen over the years is that I think they're too afraid to stay, but too afraid to leave. But now, since the guidelines are being, you know, loosened a little bit, I doubt very seriously it will be no time until we're full. And I say that it's so contradictory. Do we want to be full? That means more people are being hurt. You know, it's a two-edged sword with me. You know, it's not about numbers to me. I just want to take care of the people that need our services. So, you know, we have never not had anybody here. We've never not had less than 10 people here. So, you know, so that's my answer about that. So.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna open this up to the class now, and if you're on mute, but if you want to just wave if you've got a question, or you can do something fancy like send a text to Chelsea. If you can figure out how to do that. Oh, there's Bob.
Mute myself. There we go. Okay, Tanya, this is Bob. Have you had to keep family units separate at the home there, or are people allowed to be considered all one big family?
Can you repeat the first part of that question? I'm sorry.
Have you had to keep family units separated, in other words, quarantined from one another, or are you allowed to consider everybody family and everybody can interact at the home there?
Well, they are separate in their bedrooms, and we have had to do it in the dining room. And like I said, because of that renovation, we were able to do in 2014. We have had to do the social distancing at the dining room table, and that does split some families up. Only 3 at a table, which the round tables are big enough to do that. So we have had to ask them if they're in a common area and not eating, that they do wear a mask. We have, when we can get Lysol, that's like, I even wrote the Lysol company, and you know, but anyway, when they leave a common area, they have to spray down the whole, you know, area, such as a living room, with Lysol, or the playroom. But yes, we have to have that common, that social distancing in common areas. Yes.
Any other questions? Let's see if there's. Wait, Paul's got a question. Well, come over here and ask it. Paul says, "How are they financed?" He's sitting in a swing and doesn't want to get up. How are you financed, Tanya?
We are 85% grant funded, and that includes our coalition state funding. I apply for federal Victim of Crime Act money, and all of that is personnel. I apply for Violence Against Women Act funding, which is federal funding, but all of that is personnel. I apply for United Way of Central Kentucky money, and I apply for Tri-County United Way money, which covers Nelson, Marion, and Washington County. I applied for Kentucky Colonel's grant because all these windows up here need to be replaced. A matter of fact, one day, probably about, we had a really bad windstorm. I want to say maybe 1st of February. One of these windows actually blew out and across the administrative assistant's desk. And so I got notification on the 18th that we got the money to replace those windows. So you have to, you know, get creative. Our community is supportive. If we put what we need, they are very supportive. Different churches or different Sunday school classes, you know, tried to really ask people, you know, get your Sunday school class to just have one of them, you know, each get a can of Lysol, and then we'd have 10 cans of Lysol because, you know, you just can't get it, and that's what we need the most. So I just really try to urge, but our community, especially in Hardin County, they're just awesome. They call and ask, and if they can get it, then they will support us. They just do. Businesses, women's organizations that aren't even meeting now, individuals, you know, so we could not have a shelter in a better community. So the rest of that, you know, we're 85%, and it's not a guarantee that we will get it. You have to apply every year. So, you know, it's like pins and needles every year. So.
Thank you. Okay, more questions. I guess most of you know this, but Chelsea, you may not know it because you have just come to us, but it is in a historic home, Philip Arnold. When you go if you haven't, well, I don't know if they're not having it now, but the downtown walking tour will tell you about Philip Arnold and the heist he did on diamonds. And this was his house. He built this house with the money that he had heisted people. So they live, I've never been to that house, but I've always wanted to go. And I know what it looks like from the outside, from a historic standpoint. But anyway, it sounds like a wonderful setting with the 10 acres and all of that. Other questions?
Tanya, I got another question. This is Bob.
Hi.
Aside from Lysol, what kinds of supplies or materials are you most in need of right now?
Did I mention Lysol?
Yeah.
Do Clorox wipes, will that do?
Yes. Disinfectant wipes, Lysol, and actually Clorox, actually bleach. So that, and I hate to keep saying that, but that's what we need. So I'm sorry, that's boring, but that's what we need.
Well, that's what we want to hear, what you need.
Yeah. And sometimes people will call, we'll need toilet paper. And I'm like, it's not grand, it's not glorious, but it's toilet paper, you know, so. But that's it. And if you can find it and even grab one, you know, that's one more that we didn't have. So.
Do you
noticed,
mean wipes or just Lysol and Clorox?
We need Lysol spray. We need like the like Clorox wipes and Clorox bleach.
Just the big bottle of bleach.
Yes, Mr. Swope. I know Mr. Swope's over there.
He's over there.
He's over there.
Does Amazon deliver to you? Does Amazon deliver to you?
Yes.
Okay, so if we are able to get that through there, that we could do it that way, and that would take out some steps.
Well, good luck.
Well, I don't know. I got all those things in the beginning. Now, it may have been that it was in the beginning, so I haven't tried to get it.
Well, I will say that the Dollar General store called, and all of them said they would call us when their truck came in, and, you know, that fell through. But one of them did call us last week, and they said, we're going to hold back 3 cans for you. And do you know, they did. And my house advocate went down there to get it. It was $7 a can.
Oh
Can
my
you believe
goodness.
that? I think
Oh
I
my
need to
goodness.
tell Governor Andy price gouging. We were grateful. We were grateful. So, but anyway, you just have to be there, I guess. I don't know. We've
So,
tried everything, and we just really have. We really have tried everything.
so we can go through Amazon, and that's a direct delivery. Could we possibly drop things off at your place, or would it be better if we drop things off at the church and then we just bring a big box out to you? Which is more convenient for you?
It's really what's most convenient for you, but right now, the way we do it, for people that want to bring that 1 or 2 cans of Lysol, we just have someone come out that is wearing a mask, that has sanitized the ink pen, and we, believe it or not, I am such a germaphobe. I spray the paper and, let it dry. When the mail comes in and stuff, they will come out and do everything, fill out all the paperwork, and all you have to do is sign it. We do want to know where we can send the thank you to, and you don't have to come in, know that person's temperature has been taken, they've washed their hands, they've sanitized their hands. My hands are like cracking, but that it is very, the person coming out is very, will be okay for you to do that if you want to just, but we're not allowing anybody into the building.
Right. Okay. So we have options as to delivery.
Yes.
Okay.
But if you're going to do that, if it's okay, Jackie, I would like to give the business line number or my cell phone number.
Uh-huh.
So
Yes.
we do need to know when somebody would be coming, if that would be okay.
Yes. And it seems to me that if we're going to do this, it would be good to get it collected at the church and then bring a bunch out, so we wouldn't be, or if we can find it, is the issue. And then we would only have to bother you one time.
You're not bothering us at all. We're very grateful. It's not a bother at all. It's just something we have to do right now.
Yeah. So do you want to give it now, or why don't you send it to me and I will send it to the class? I have a list that way, because some people might not have pencils and all that stuff. So I will send that out today. Okay.
And when all this is over, I hope you will come out and I will proudly give you a tour of our facility. So.
Oh, I'd love to. Yes.
Anybody else that would like to.
Yes.
So.
Do you have any success stories to share with us of
I have a lot
just
of success stories.
I bet you do. I'd love to hear one or two. Or
you put me on the spot. Let me think of my favorite. Jackie.
Well, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked you that.
Well,
I just.
Okay. I will tell you one from a long time ago, because she still writes us. This lady came to shelter, and she had 4 children, and she was very much an abused lady. But I don't want to say but, because that negates everything I just said. However, she was so talented. She could write children's books. She was an illustrator, and her son was a gifted songwriter, and he played the guitar. And she was here. You have to imagine back then people stayed a lot longer because the resources were not like they are today. They have a lot more resources that we can help them with. And so
How long did she stay? I'm just
she
curious.
stayed almost a year.
Oh my goodness, I had no idea.
So there was a home that she lived in, and it was out in Breckenridge County, but the home was not habitable. So back then, when he was in charge of Habitat for Humanity forever, and he moved. Somebody help me.
Larry Mingle?
There you go. Thank you. He and his crew went out there and made her house habitable. And the domestic violence, situation, the perpetrator, everything was taken away. And so she was able to move in to that house, and her children grew, and her son actually moved to Nashville. And because she sent a letter like 2 years ago, and they're a bazillion years older now. And he's a songwriter. And she has written a couple of children's books, and she updated us on her other children. And she has never gotten into another relationship, and just been happy doing what God gave her the talent to do. And she is just very happy and very grateful. Her son even wrote a song about the time that he was here. And she sent me the words, and it was just so beautiful. It was amazing. So I think about her a lot, and I still remember her and her children's faces. And, I seem to remember all the people I first met, and of course, all the people recently. And then in the middle, I don't know, I guess I was so busy. I remember a couple, but she's a really good success story.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had this other lady, real quick. She had my email, and she sent me a picture of her and her sons. She's been gone 2 years, in front of a house that she was able to actually purchase. And she said, I just wanted you to see that I could make it. And I wanted you to see our house. And of course, I can't give her name or anything. And, it's not about the accolades or anything. It's just that they remember to say thank you. And, here I am. I was able to make it. So that's just two quick examples. So.
Okay. We certainly thank you, Tanya, for being with us and sharing your experiences and sharing your feelings of stress. And I can also tell you that no, don't be sorry at all. Almost everybody that has been working has been feeling that. We feel that with you. So it helps us understand even more what is happening out with you. And we will absolutely talk about, one of the things, the reason we're interviewing different people is we are interviewing them to understand what's going on in our community and to find ways of helping you help those people. So that's what we're doing. So we thank you so much for being with us, and you're welcome to, this is the Zoom room. In terms of people will be coming now for church, and you're welcome to stay and do that with us if you'd like to see what our church service is like. We'd love to have you be our guest here, and anyone else, if we're very happy. So thank you again for being with us.
Well, thank you for inviting me and meeting new friends. But I did not come on here to ask for money, but I don't want to put that out there. But I'm very passionate about my job. And one of my board members always said, "Are you going to cry this time?" I said, "Listen, you better worry when I don't cry." So,
Right, that's right.
so it's very hard to stay open 24 hours a day. And I just want to get it out there for people that don't even know we exist. So thank you for listening. I'm sorry if I went over, but
You're great.
thank you so much. And you just have a great rest of the weekend.
Okay.